See, my peer influence was dudes in the street, and dudes that maybe were 5 or 6 years older than me, telling me to go put in some work or this, that, and the other, how to destroy the community. Now, in this day and age, you have people like ourselves, 50s, late 40s, pushing positivity and enlightenment and education as opposed to back in the day when it was all negative stuff. You might have had a few people here and there with some positive stuff, but for the most part, it was all negative. Mm-hmm. And society and the powers that be has turned the things that we made to be influential and informative, like rap, gangster rap. And WA didn't come out to say destroy your community. And WA came out to show this is going on in the hood. But they took colors and all that stuff and flipped it and made it to where this is something that we want to glorify and praise.
Welcome to the We Got Problems podcast with co-hosts Curtis G. Martin, Rhonda L. Brown, and Caliph Johnson Sr., the one and only podcast where solutions get discussed to our community's everyday troubles. Each week, you will hear mind-blowing conversations and actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become more effective. We got problems and we got solutions.
All right, you guys, welcome to the show. This is We Got Problems, the podcast where we talk solutions. I'm Curtis G. Martin, and I'm here with my co-host, Rhonda L. Brown.
Hey, everybody.
And I have my second co-host, Caliph Johnson Sr.
Peace, y'all. How y'all doing?
And we have a special guest in the house today, Terrall Tillman. Terrall, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
First of all, thank you guys for having me. God bless everybody. Thank you for waking up another day healthy, enabling us to actually do this interview. My name is Terrall Tillman. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. I grew up along the Harbor corridor, which is the Hooper corridor of Los Angeles on the west side. I grew up, man, in a single parent home after my parents were married and divorced. After I was like 7 years old, I had an older brother, a bunch of uncles, that's OGs. And, I grew up in a kind of sheltered life in the first. And, I kind of went left, after my uncle died. But, I've been to juvenile hall. I was, and then from juvenile hall, I got into, pretty much, selling drugs and doing the wrong things in life. I've done 19 years total in the federal penitentiaries, 2 different stints. The first stint from 1991 to 2002, I stayed out 10 years. Then the next stint, I just got out in 19. I went from 2012 to 19. So now I'm back out. I've been out 3 years. It'll be this month. And along the way through my journey, I've always been about education and family and community. So God just redirected my life from the streets and gang banging and selling dope and being a menace and a problem maker to now a problem solver. And when I went back in prison the second time, the Creator blessed me with the ability to write a book, a ReEntry book. And off of that ReEntry book, it was a spinoff. I wrote a spinoff, which is the ReEntry curriculum. And it was so profound because when I went back in the second time, I had been out 10 years and I still seen people that were still there from the first time I went to prison. And they was like waiting on me like, hey, what's going on? So from that point on, it was like, these people don't have a clue what they're going into when they get home. So, me overcoming my guilt and my rage of being back in prison, kicking myself in the butt. From that point on, I was like, what can I do to help these people? And before I was incarcerated the second time, I graduated from PCITI, which is Professional Community Intervention Training Institute. And I co-started a nonprofit in the neighborhood called APUU, Advocates for Peace and Urban Unity. And through those 2 entities, I did a lot of self-help classes and stuff of that nature. And I got involved into the nonprofit sector of the world in Los Angeles. I sat on the board for Best Start Metro L.A. and First Fire California. So I was the ambassador, the parent rep, and the community rep for that organization. And We funded like 16 different cities within the LA County, and it was real profound, and it gave me the insight of how to really give back to the community and to see the players that were involved. So when I went back to prison, it was like, whoa, instead of me finishing the juvenile curriculum that I started on the street, I started an adult thing, and I wrote the book, and then I wrote the curriculum. I implemented some reentry classes. I started some reentry classes in the federal penitentiaries at different joints, and I also was the reentry facilitator at a couple of different institutions for the people that were.
So look at this. So with you instituting the reentry in these other places, what's your purpose for it being the reentry program on the streets?
My purpose for the reentry education is simple. My purpose is basically to re-educate people coming out of prison so they'll understand the different components that they need to succeed and have a healthy transition. And also for the population of citizens that'll never go to prison, but they'll actually be involved in some capacity with the reentry population. So to basically educate both society and people coming out so they can have a better understanding of how to receive those people to make that healthy transition.
So what kind of credentials do you have, or what kind of credentials do you need to do the work that you do?
As far as myself, I'm PCI-TI certified, public safety, and Peacekeepers Alliance, and PCI-TI is like the #1 interventionist, and they call it interdiction now, specialist, to where it's crisis management and violence prevention. And it's actually he actually right now, the brother Kil Bashir actually has the national contract through the White House. So he's in different states and different cities teaching the same curriculum as far as the public safety and crisis management. I have that. I'm also an anger management instructor. I'm FEMA certified. I have trauma-based certifications through Blue Shields California and PCI-TI. I'm certified as a parenting facilitator as well. And I have a bunch of different little certifications from different organizations that I went to, to obtain different information.
Okay, so with all of this going on, how do you balance it all? How do you balance this with your family life?
You know what? That's a thing that it's a God-given thing, because like right now, fatherhood is the biggest thing in my life. Continue to have a healthy reentry aspect. And I've always been a multitasker, and I'm up to the challenge. And by this being my second time around, I'm basically just living by my book that I wrote, doing what I know from the first time, how to implement what worked and what didn't work. And now the realm of fatherhood that I've never seen before, and the patience, the open-mindedness, and the willingness to be a better father than my father was to me, a better grandfather than, that my grandfather was to me and my father was to my children. And just staying focused, staying focused. That's what really helps me stay balanced, and trying to be the best person I can. I strive for perfection and greatness. I know I can't be perfect, but I can be great. So I just push on that level right there. And I try to learn something every day and teach as well.
And so why do people coming out of prison need a reentry program or need to be re-educated?
People coming out of prison need to be re-educated for more than one reason, but the main reason is this. When you're born, you get education from whoever's upbringing you. Then you go to school, 12 to K. If you go to prison or juvenile hall or any type of incarceration, you're going to learn how to survive. You're going to be taught that them survival skills. It's like a higher form of education, because you're going to learn how to, survive in prison. So when you go to prison 5, 10, 20 years, when you come home to society, that prison stuff is out the window of how you were living. But some of the awareness and some of the things that you learn in prison will apply to the street. But you need to get educated and relearn of how to be a citizen in society and what's going on in society. So that's the reason why people need to get re-educated, because I can give you $1 million, but if you don't know economics and finances, you're gonna be broke. I can give you freedom, but if you don't know how to sustain your freedom, you're gonna end up dolphin, dead, jail, or something might end up bad happening to you. Or somebody that might see you come out, they're gonna take advantage of you because you don't know. You don't know how to operate a phone. You don't know about technology. You don't have a car. Things change. So you need to be re-educated on what it is. And the reentry game is very new, even though it's old as dust. But the reentry is the entity that the system put in place to make money off of the actual name reentry, because people have been getting out of jails for eons since they've been built. So now you need to get those people educated to how do I make a healthy transition, give them the components and the tools to work with.
So, do you think everybody could benefit from like anger management classes, whether they're coming out or just anybody, really?
Most definitely. I definitely believe that everybody can benefit from anger management classes, because the fact that everybody gets angry here and there. And then some people don't know their triggers. Some people don't have coping mechanisms. So these are the things that are important for individually to channel your anger in a healthy perspective. Because if you bottle your anger up or you just explode with it, it's going to come out in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe on the wrong person. And it might be a detriment to you or someone else. So everybody can benefit from knowing how to channel their anger and how to, do coping mechanisms and tools to actually use.
Okay. Like when you say that, right? I understand the importance of anger management, but the whole reentry program as a whole, why do you do this? What does it do for the community?
The whole reentry aspect of educating reentry people, the community is like this. In the community, you have a head. Mm-hmm. And more than likely, the parents are the head of the community. Everybody in most urban communities are affected by people going to prison. So when people come back out from prison, a lot of those people have influence over the people that have been on the streets. And the people that's been on the streets been waiting for those people to come home, because they hear the good stories, they hear the good letters and all of the stuff that they're going to do and how they've changed and this and that and the other. So it's a lot of people on the streets that are influenced by the jail aspect. And now in our society, prison is like them as the heroes to our youth, because they don't know any better. And they think that's the validation of manhood or gangsterism or whatever the situation may be. So when you have people coming home from prison, these are people that were in our community and that are a fabric of our community. So if you educate them and have them to be more responsible and accountable and push a healthy perspective back into the community, it's going to help build the fabric up in that community, as far as the family, the community, the policing of the community, probably stop a little violence here and there, because pretty much when you go to prison and those people come home, it's a different solidarity with the people that you met in prison and come home to the streets. So you got eons of people coming home in different communities and states that know each other, that can actually build the fabric back to that community, because what they're bringing to the table is influence. And if it's in a positive way, it can be very dynamic to the family aspect and grow to the community just as well as the destruction did.
So what's unique about your reentry book or your reentry program?
The uniqueness of my reentry book and reentry program is this: there's not 100 academics or clinicians that could put this book together, because first of all, they have no lived experience, and they're only getting it from a secondhand, a third-hand perspective, and they're doing it from a text perspective. My book is unique because through my education and re-educate myself in the power of the Creator and me being the vessel, He's given me that information, that wherewithal to put this together, articulate it from an intellectual perspective and an educational perspective, and put it into a lived experience as well. So, and then every chapter in my book has an educational part to the chapter and a lived experience part to the chapter that's fact-based. You know, there's not no, oh, maybe this, or I think, no, this is what happened. This what will happen. This is what can happen, because I know it from living it and seeing it in an abundance from a lot of different men and women that have come home from prison. And I even have people who have that are in society that I taught in prison. So I'm seeing the positive results from my intervention. I mean, from my reentry work.
So is your book strictly for the reentry population, or will it
No,
work for
no,
anybody?
it's not. My book, and that's another reason why my book is so unique, because it's not strictly for the reentry population. It's for whole society. You know, it gives the people that's coming home the components and the information that they can utilize, and that's why it's called Formula for Success, because every formula ain't the same. Everybody coming home is not in the same position. It's not a cookie cutter. So, and then in society, the book is to where you can read it so you can know how to receive a person and know how to actually correspond with somebody that might be a coworker or a family member or somebody you just might run into in a grocery store in a conversation, and it comes out that they might have been in prison or incarcerated. So it's a whole societal thing. So it's just not for people coming out of prison.
Okay, piggybacking off of that, right? It's a lot of organizations out there receiving money for reentry and grants and things of that nature, right? And they're not serving the population of reentry people that they're supposed to be serving, right?
Yes.
So, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
You know what? It makes me furious, and also understanding the system and how the players play the game and how the game is played. I have to respect it, because I mean, when people chase the money and it's all about the dollar sign, they don't give a damn about the people. They just care about the money that they can obtain and what they could do it in the name of. And like I said, prior to probably, I was in prison when reentry term came out, but prior to me going to prison in 2012, reentry didn't exist. So, like I said, I've been using the term prior to it even being an entity. So now that they can put money behind it, you got every faith-based, community-based nonprofit, they're interjecting reentry into their program to get this grant money, but they don't have a clue about what it takes. And then they might do a little pop-up workshop or a little just there, and a couple of people fill out some flyers, and they say they're servicing reentry aspect, and they just stuffing the money pretty much and paying the vendors, and it's a done deal.
So when people come out of prison, how can people in the community or anybody listening to this show or even us, how could we support their reentry?
The biggest thing is to understand a person, have some type of rapport with them. And if you don't know them, just kind of build a rapport with them and meet them where they are. Meet them where they are, because everybody coming out of, like I said, it's not a cookie cutter, and everybody's mind might not be set to move forward in a light. They might not have their plans lined up, so when they hit the ground, they running. And when receiving people, just meet them where they at. Try not to make them codependent, because they've been codependent in prison for all this time. Put some fire under their ass and hold them accountable. Even if you go buy them some t-shirts, socks, and drawers, let them know, look, man, I'm doing this out of the love for you, because I want you to see you get yourself together, or these bras, panties, or whatever. I want to do this to help you, so you don't have to stress off the little things that are necessities that I know you need. So I'm helping you because I want to see you succeed. Basically, just kind of encouraging the positivity that you want to see them accomplish, and help their confidence level grow, and know that they got somebody that actually cares. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't have nobody when they come home.
So who benefits from the reentry program being successful?
The community and society as a whole benefits from it. Like I tell people, I'm gonna be a grandfather of this movement, and when I'm dead and gone, it's gonna still be here, just like anger management and domestic violence classes and parenting and all these other stuff. But the community is definitely going to benefit from it. The families, the children, more than likely, because it's already said 70% of the children whose one of their parents go to prison, it's a 70% chance that child will go to prison. So if we kind of educate the men and women coming home how to make a healthy transition, they can implement the do's and don'ts to the youth. You know, whether it be their children, their nieces and nephews, or cousins, or whatever, or just a friend's kid. You know, so the community benefits as a plus from the reentry aspect. And you know, when you give people information and tools to work with, and they willing to work with them, they can't say they didn't know anymore. They can't say I'm ignorant to the situation. You know, you take the information and get it, and you don't utilize it, you're just being stupid and foolish.
Okay. You grew up out here in SoCal, right?
Yes,
So you understand what the 80s was like out here, right?
man.
You understand the impact of the 80s to Southern California
Yes.
and the 90s, because that was a whole nother thing as well. How
Yeah.
has incarceration affected us as a community from your perspective, coming from where you come from?
Man, mass incarceration, it has affected South Central L.A. and other Black communities abroad in the fact that you took the masculinity and the solid, strong men out of our community. And the babies that were born and raised by strong women who were also hurt by that pain of taking their men and their brothers and sons and husbands away from that community. So those kids grew up with 5 or 10% of masculine implementation in their education, but they got 110% of femininity and nurturing from a woman, you know, in their upbringing. So the balance of it is messed up. And that's why you see a lot of different, you know, no shade to anybody, you know, the LGBTQ community, but you see a lot of homosexuality out here now. And you see a lot of young men that are emotionally damaged because they wasn't instilled with the masculinity of another strong man, you know, as opposed to like myself. You know, my dad, my uncles, mama's boyfriends, uncles, homeboys, cousins, they instilled that rough and tough masculinity into us to where, them feminine ways, the balance was, it was set straight, you know what I mean? And
Both
man,
sides are important.
and,
You
and
got
both
to have
sides are
both.
important. Look, both sides are important. And then you got the women. There's so
Yeah.
many women out here that's trying to be men, but then when they push up on a man and the man responds in a manly way, oh, I'm a woman. You gonna do that to a woman? Well, you pushing up on me like a man, young lady. You know what
But
I'm saying?
those
So,
daughters need to learn how to be loved too, just the same
so
way. They need
it's,
they need to
it's
learn that positive father love too. So yeah.
and I look, brother, I have 4 daughters. 3 of them is grown. You know what I'm saying? 2 of them was, homosexual. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And the pain that they spew out to me, the 3 grown ones, I just have to take it on the chin and learn from it and also grow with them and have an understanding that, yeah, they went through some pain those 19 years I was gone out of their life. They have some mental scars and some scars that they went through that I wasn't there to protect them as a father. And as a community, when the children in the community don't have that security and masculinity from that aspect of love, it's all misconstrued. And you have a lot of people out here that don't have that in them, and it's missing and it shows. It shows dramatically, you know.
So what's some of the biggest misconceptions about reentry programs
About reentry programs,
or
or
reentry?
the biggest misconception about reentry is this. When people in jail, the biggest misconception is, oh, I'm finna go out and I'm finna get on, I'm finna do this, I'm finna do that. And when they get out to the world, it's like, wait a minute, this is a coming home party. It's supposed to be a coming home party. The honeymoon is gonna last for so long. It might be
Hmm.
a day, it might be a week, it might be a month. And it might be some people don't even have nothing to come home to. So they come home to being homeless, you know what I'm saying? And back to the streets of society. But the biggest misconception is that people on the streets owe you something. When the people coming home, they think people owe them something because they was in jail. And excuse my French, but motherfucker, your life stopped when you went to prison. Their life kept going. Bills, children, businesses, having a roof over their head, life. Yours is in a box that didn't nobody even know about.
So I have a two-part to that because
nobody owes you anything. So that's the biggest misconception from the people coming home. And the biggest misconception of people on the street about people coming home is that everybody coming out of prison is just a big old monster, and they just rah rah rah, and they gonna protect the world. And they got all the answers because they was, writing them good letters and making them good phone calls. And they magicians. We're not magicians when we come home. It's just not gonna happen like that. So that was some of the two biggest misconceptions right off the bat.
So I have a two-part to that. So do these guys actually come home with an actual plan, or do they come home with an end result?
You know what? And that's the thing about it. Some people be in prison and they have a plan, or they have plans, and then some people just come home and they just feel like they gonna wing it. And some people might be good at spontaneous movement. I mean, I can adjust, and I call it the 3A system: assess, adjust, and address. So I had plans. I had multiple plans. So when I got out of here, and like I say in my book, you might have a plan. Hey, when you get out here, you got to assess the world, assess society, see if your plan is fixated to what's going on in society. And if it's going to be a positive, you think it's going to be a positive result if you implement that plan. But once you get out here and you see that plan you might be outdated. You know what I'm saying? Something better than coming on. Or you might see something that sparks your thought and your idea say, ooh, this can go good with my plan. Or wait, let me scrap that plan and let me do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about getting out here and seeing what's going on, because plans are good, but all plans don't follow through. And also plans can also be tweaked. They can be tweaked. They can be altered. And like I tell people, make your plan a doable plan, something that's realistic and simplistic, so where if you have to change it or tweak it, it can be done and you ain't reinventing the wheel.
So what ultimately made you change, turn your life around?
You know what? It was crazy because I just had an epiphany when I first caught my case, and I was 18 years old, and I was in the feds, and I seen my name and my picture on the news, and I was in Des Moines, Iowa. So I was in a white state, and they was like, life. And the police came and seen me, and they was like, oh yeah, we got you an investigation for double murders and double homicides. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. No. And it was just like I used to tell my co-defendant, I was like, man, we going to trial because these people, they got to prove this. You know what I'm saying? Because they trying to hang us. They're trying to give us life without. I'm 18. And I know that I was doing some crazy stuff in the world. And, I pray for forgiveness every day for it, and I'm thankful for growing up to be where I'm at. So I just seen the destruction that I caused and I played a part in, selling dope, gang banging, that negative perspective. And what it did to my family, it destroyed my family, me leaving the world, because I was a protector and the breadwinner and the provider in my family. And then when I seen it in abundance and how the federal prison system went from 64,000 to over 100,000 or 200,000, the time I was in there, and then all my folks was in there. We was meeting up. It was like it was a meeting in the feds on, like, wait a minute. So I was like, I can't do this no more. And I promised myself I would never get back out here and sell drugs again and destroy my community. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I know it was an epiphany that I'm not going to do this no more, and pray to God, he said, please God, you get me through this. I'll do right. I'll listen to you. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things. And then it was like, well, let me continue to educate myself while I'm in here. And like I said, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that making myself better and having a position that I had in the streets and the juice car that I had with my neighborhood was able to deflect and stop a lot of stuff in prison. And just being a kind of boisterous line pushing type of dude, it helped me to say, yeah, this is something I like the feeling when I can stop something from happening. Yeah, I used to like the bullshit. I was with the drama, all that. But when I turned that aspect into positive, that even made it more happy for me because I like to see success and joyful things. Because I'm not a evil person by spirit. I just grasped and went into that gang life and that I don't care aspect, and I ran with the devil, straight up. And it was like, who we gonna hurt? Who we gonna fuck over? When I got to prison, I got in tune with the Creator and oneness with the universe, and there's no looking back for me now. You know what I mean?
Okay, so doing what you're doing in your industry, it's a lot of people trying to do what's going on in your industry. Do you monitor what's going on in the industry?
You know what? I pay attention. I do my homework, but I feel like I don't have any competition or no competitors because if we're all trying to do the positive thing to help the community, that's a plus. So I'm not against anybody for whatever they're doing, but I will make sure I will do my due diligence on people before I even collaborate or even align my name and my brand with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like this. The streets and prison. Your reputation will follow you. So when people put my name, Terrall Tillman, or Baby Took him, or whatever, when they compute that, it's gonna be like, okay, he's solid. He ain't told on nobody. He was with the business. Now he's doing this. So they feel more inclined and comfortable to deal with me. I'm not out here straddling the fence. You know what I mean? So hell yeah, I pay attention. And then I know who's who. And see, that's what gives me the better, that's what makes me other people inferior when I step into the room. Because I know they background, I know they card, I know, how they was in the street, and I know how, janky they might be in the institution in this work.
All right. So who's helped you along the way? Have you had any accountability partners, coaches, or mentors?
Oh man, yes. I would definitely. It's crazy because in prison, I had some really smart people, and it's crazy because the guy that taught me a lot of finances and to understand economics was a white guy by the name of Mike Wise, and he used to be the banker for the Bush family, and quote unquote, he committed suicide, jumped off the Tampa Bay airport, parking stall to kill himself. So he was one of my mentors in prison. When I came home in prison, I really didn't have a lot of mentors, but he was one person that stood out because he pulled me to the side and he taught me a lot from a financial aspect in economics, and he put a lot of stuff in my head that made a lot of sense. And by him being an older white guy with that type of prestige, it was like, whoa, and I was learning something. And I implemented a lot of stuff. So when I came out, my brother Robert Rubin, he's a faith-based guy. He has a Vermont Village community activist, and he's based out of the Crenshaw Christian Center. Brother Akil Bashir from PCI TI, Miss Janisha Spears. She has Seeking Peaceful Solutions. My brother Lorenzo Murphy, he was my ex business partner, but he's still my brother. He showed me a lot along the way. This wonderful lady named Lynn Rhodes. She's an elderly European lady that, man, had my back from the time I met her at the PCI TI, because I was an instructor and she was a student, but she's had my back since then. And, my auntie Vicky Ford, she's been an inspirational person that taught me a lot as far as business and stuff. Uh, and those are the people that stand out to me, that I know that implemented some stuff in me, and that I utilize to this day, and I'm still linked up close with those people.
Okay, so the next section is our rapid fire. So it's quick 20-second answers,
Okay, I
whatever
got
comes to mind. All right, so the first one, What's your why? What makes you do what you do?
I'm just a vessel.
Okay. Were there times that you think that this wouldn't work?
No.
So, what's the most important thing you learned in your life?
Ooh, the most important thing. Patience. And in every process, there's a process. That's one of my mantras. And take care of the business, and the business will take care of you.
So if you could turn back the hands of time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say?
You're going to live to be 50 and have 5 grandkids and kids, and you're going to be pushing reentry, and you're going to be a community crusader.
Okay. So if you could sit down and have a conversation with somebody dead or alive, who would it be and why?
It's just one person?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard right there. Y'all going for that. Man. I would say Malcolm X.
Why?
Because he was forced through that fire, man. He was old, he was Detroit Red, and he was with all the bullshit. And then he turned his life around. He went through Islam, and then he seen that wasn't his way. And then he got connected with the Creator, and then that's when they took him out. So I feel like we have kind of like a similar thing going, just different directions and different topics.
Okay. If you could recommend one book, what would it be?
One book. Formula for Success, ReEntry -030. That's going to be coming out soon.
There we go. I like that. Hey, so what's your best tip for making our community a better place to live?
I would say have a positive energy about yourself. Know that somebody has it worse off than you, and to be kind to people. Be kind to people. Just be kind. You don't have to bend over backwards, but be kind and respectful.
So how do you celebrate your wins?
Because nobody else does. And then I thank the Creator, and I say, give me some more, give me some more, give me some more. I'm on a mission, and if I die tomorrow, I know that I've been obedient to Him, and that's all that matters to me now.
Okay. People always say you should save money. What are some of the things you recommend saving in money or investing assets into?
Right now, what I'm thinking about and what I've been doing myself is cryptocurrency, learning that game, investing in that. I'm actually waiting for the biggest airdrop in cryptocurrency history, through the new blockchain, through Post X. And your money doesn't get any interest just sitting around or in a bank, because that 0.25 ain't nothing. So find ways that you feel good about investing your money in and make some sense out of it. Be smart about it, from new stuff to things that you don't have to create the wheel. Just invest in your money in something that's going to make it grow, because just sitting there it's not going to do nothing for you. And don't be scared to take that risk, but just don't put all your cards and your eggs in one basket, but don't be scared to take a calculated risk.
All right. So last question. How can the people find you?
The people can find me. I have multiple platforms, and I have a email. One of my emails is reentry030.network@gmail.com. And I have 2 websites. Lessons Learned, LESSONZLEARNED.com. That's my parenting company, and that's my parenting website. And I also have another website, reentry-030.com. And I'm also on YouTube. I'm about to actually expand that horizon since I'm about to put this book out. And it's Terrall Tillman Sr. You just put it on Google, YouTube, and then right now the ReEntry, I'm in the algorithm, so I'm locked in. I'm locked in the algorithm. So if you put in my name or ReEntry, my picture's gonna show up.
There we go. I like
So
that.
if you put in ReEntry -030 or ReEntry, you're gonna see a big old smile with Terrall Tillman on there, you know. and that's what it is. And my phone number for those who want to contact me is 213-866-8156.
Woo, the people gonna blow you up, my man.
Hey, you fly out here.
Well, you know, I'm here. You know, I'm an open book. I also do consulting. I also do mentorship. I also do consulting with parents to help them connect with their youth, teens, or adult children, because it's a disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation, and it's only because of communication. The communication flaws that's there, and the elderly people not wanting to understand the youth. Because like I tell people, we can't know how it feels to be a teenager in 2022.
Yeah.
We didn't have the internet. We didn't have these phones. We didn't have social media. So we don't know the pressure that builds, because that's what's really teaching these kids. Because adults aren't teaching them a lot. The school systems are trash. The teachers are scared of
not you. They not you, trash.
No. Hey, man, these systems, the school systems are really they failed us, bro. They really have failed us in the aspect to where in the Black communities, they don't have no connection with the culture. And for older Black parents and grandparents, they're disconnected with their teens and their young youth because they don't get it, because they don't want to get it, because they feel like they set in their ways and this is the right way. Well, you don't know how it feels to be a teenager growing up with this right here, and social media being
in 2022.
This is being your platform and your influence, peer influence. See, my peer influence was dudes in the street, and dudes that maybe were 5 or 6 years older than me, telling me to go put in some work or this, that, and the other, how to destroy the community. Now, in this day and age, you have people like ourselves, 50s, late 40s, pushing positivity and enlightenment and education, as opposed to back in the day when it was all negative stuff. You might have had a few people here and there with some positive stuff, but for the most part, it was all negative. Mm-hmm. And society and the powers that be has turned the things that we made to be influential and informative, like rap, gangster rap. And WA didn't come out to say destroy your community. And WA came out to show this is going on in the hood. Mm-hmm. But they took colors and all that stuff and flipped it and made it to where this is something that we want to glorify and praise. So now you got all of these actors and all these entertainers want to go get put on and be a Blood or Crip or GD or represent a gang. But you can't just go have a couple of fades and be on the gang. That ain't how it works. But today's society is allowing that to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Like you said, these phones.
You brought something up that you brought something up that we probably gonna have to implement again. We used to ask that question about the community, right? That he just kind of brought up. But look, before we get out of here, Rhonda, you got any last words you want to leave the people?
I would say don't give up. Like, even if you end up in prison or even in jail, like, you can always turn it around.
Yeah, there we go. Trash, what do you want to leave the people with?
Man, I just want to thank you, big bro. Just representing the West Coast, showing that we do have kings out here coming back into the community, doing some right and positive for our community, understanding what their past actions have done, but that don't mean that they're gonna stop them from the goals that they have set for themselves. So I'm proud of you, King.
Thank you, sir.
Terrell, so what do you want to leave the people with, my brother?
I want to leave the people with this. Lessons learned. This is about life, and that's why that's the name of my company. Lessons learned in life. Everything in life is a lesson, and it's for you to learn from it. Don't keep banging your head into the wall. You know what I'm saying? No matter how many times you bang your head into the wall, it's about the lesson that you have to get out of it. so that you can learn, okay, man, that's not the right way. Let me go this way, or let me try something different. And also have confidence in yourself and address your fears. You know what I'm saying? Because fear is what keeps us and anybody from doing anything different. You know, that comfortability and of not wanting to be uncomfortable. So learn how to be uncomfortable and address those fears, because fears will keep you under a rock somewhere when you can be out there shining and prospering.
Facts.
Hey, I like that as your company, the lessons learned. So what I'm gonna leave the people with is that there's no such thing as failure, right? Failure is only failing when you don't learn the lesson. Right, so learn the lesson, keep moving, and y'all hook up with Terrall. Go to his website, let him know how you can support the reentry program of others. If you know somebody that need reentry or help with it, reentry, y'all connect and let's build our community up.
And thank you guys for having me, and thank for this platform, and keep doing what y'all doing, man. This is very vital to the new generation of how they communicate. And I take my hat off to you guys. Salute.
Salute,
all right,
King.
cool. Hey, you guys, y'all know we got problems, but we also have solutions, and we
Yes,
out.
indeed.
Peace.
From the team at CRC Empire, we want to thank you for listening. To stay connected with us, like, share, and subscribe to the We Got Problems podcast. You can find us on social media platforms at Curtis Martin 247, at Rhonda Wrights Official, and at the_trash_vegan_. We got problems and we got solutions.